A lot of teams starting to feel the heat of the postseason coming on as they jockey for position or try to get into the playoffs. In the case of the Knicks, as I mentioned, Toronto is now fallen down a half game back of the Chicago Bulls into the 4th spot. And there's New York, 3 full games back of the Atlanta Hawks now. And Shaq, this was the first game of a 5-game road trip. Got to set the right tone, all the sorts of things you say to the media after the game or before the game. How do you explain what you saw tonight?
You can't explain. You know, for the past 2 weeks, they talk about battling and we got to do this, we got to do that. Can't keep having lapses, especially with 10 and 11 games left. They keep playing like they played tonight, they're definitely not going to make the playoffs. They still have a chance, but, you know, you can't let things like this slip away. You know, Phil Jackson is the master of saying that beat the teams you're supposed to beat. The Knicks are not playing well, but they definitely have a better roster than the Lakers. They're definitely supposed to beat the Lakers at the Staples Centers, and they didn't perform tonight.
Well, I think, you know, the hype about Phil Jackson, I think the team has to stay present. You know, they went on a nice win streak. They've been playing great basketball, and you can't go into L.A. and let the Lakers just, you know, whoop you like that.
About 31.
Yeah, come on now. You have to, you know, when is the sense of urgency going to kick in? And, you know, how important is it to the Knicks that they make the playoffs and get into that 8th seed? I would like to see them in the 8th seed instead of Atlanta, you know, so at least there'll be some competitiveness in the first round of the playoffs.
Rick, sometimes I think the psychology angle gets overplayed a little bit, but the Knicks, they know what's going on in terms of management, in terms of the franchise. You bring Phil Jackson in, you don't bring him in for status quo, you bring him in to make changes. Is that possibly in the back of everyone's head as they try to play this out and get into the postseason?
Yeah, they've talked about it. If you look back at some of the communication out of the locker room, it's about wanting to be a part of this moving forward, probably realizing that these games, these remaining 12, 13 games will be an auditioning process for a lot of these guys, whether they're a part of the Knicks moving forward or not. But right now, I'm sure it's hard for them to keep their focus in the locker room and on these games when there's so much written and talked about outside about the future of this team. So you see the lapses, you see the in and outs. I mean, they had a slippage in Philadelphia. They lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers, beat a good team in Indiana. So they're just up and down. And they go now to Sacramento.
Been that way all season, though.
It has,
streaks both ways.
They go to Sacramento tomorrow. Then they play Portland.
They've got Utah on this trip as well. I mean, there's some opportunities.
They got a chance.
They got a chance, but they got to stay in the presence.
They have a chance, but I'm with Barron. I need to see the sense of urgency. You know, eyes don't lie. I mean, I'm looking at the guys, and you know, they look like they don't really care if they make the playoffs or not. I need to see some scrawls, some hard fouls. I need to see it. And right now, I don't see it. But again, you're not supposed to lose to the Lakers by 31 ever. No.
You guys ever been part of a 50-point quarter, one way or the other?
Of course.
Yeah.
Shaq and I scored 63 in one game together on his birthday.
No, but in a quarter.
It wasn't in a quarter.
In a quarter.
I had 61. You had 2.
But you asked, but I had like, you know, a bunch of assists.
Yeah, a bunch of assists.
You asked, that was my present.
Have we ever scored 51 in a quarter? Yeah, easily.
I think we have.
You're going to say you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Us?
I don't know. I'm asking.
I'm telling
I know y'all can look it up.
Well, you know somebody's going to look it up.
How?
You know how's going to look it up?
Of course I have. 51 and a quarter.
Right, you say so. Toronto, they drop a spot. We talked a little bit earlier about playoff position for certain kinds of teams. Raptors, great story in the Eastern Conference, up-and-coming team. How much does it matter where they are?
They want to get home court advantage. If you're Toronto,
stick in the top 4.
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah, if they can stay in the top 4 and get home court advantage, they're fine. I think that, you know, for what they did this season and what they accomplished, it'd be great to give their fans some home court advantage and some home cooking going into that first round of the playoffs. They're going to need it.
But their Atlantic lead is only a game and a half now over the Nets, who are coming on strong.
But yeah, hey, the playoffs start early for some of these teams because they play each other a lot. Toronto is looking to hold that home court that they've had all season long, but they could slide out and find themselves on the road.
You see a dark horse in there? You see a team that folks should be worried about? Everybody's talking Miami, Indiana, obviously.
Well, you know, when it comes to standings, it's like playing chess and not checkers. I think Toronto would be smart to get back up to that 3 spot. You don't want to play Brooklyn right now.
No.
They're playing well. They're starting to play together. You know, one thing about Brooklyn, they have a lot of old veterans that, you know, like to lollygag during the season. But once the playoffs come around, if they're healthy, they're going to be a dangerous team. So Toronto might want to get back up to that number 3 spot.
I'm going to say this. and I really believe this based on how they're playing the last few weeks here, Charlotte is a team to be concerned about if you're in that.
If you line up with them on the.
You line up with them.
Just saying that because Mike went to North Carolina. See that, man?
I mean, if you watch their games, the combination of Kemba Walker and Al Jefferson, the two of those outside-inside presence, they're playing well.
But not if they're in the 7th or 8th spot. I don't think that that really matters for.
You don't think they're ready to take on Indiana?
No.
I'm saying the third or fourth.
Yeah.
Toronto.
You can't be a good team and have a losing record and talk about making.
Have you watched Charlotte play?
Damage in the playoffs.
Rick, have you watched Charlotte play?
Yeah.
On what channel?
Game time. My game time app. On the game time app.
Game time app. Detective O'Neal got him stumbling.
No. Get your game time app. Get your NBA game time app.